In late 2024, during a dinner at Mar-a-Lago, President-elect Donald Trump suggested to Canadian Prime Minister Justin Trudeau that Canada should consider becoming the 51st US state. Trump remarked that Canadians would benefit from lower taxes and better healthcare under US governance. This suggestion was initially perceived as a joke, eliciting nervous laughter from attendees. Following this meeting, Trump continued to reference the idea publicly. On December 10, 2024, he referred to Trudeau as Governor Justin Trudeau of the great state of Canada on his social media platform, Truth Social. He further stated that he looked forward to meeting him again to continue their talks on tariffs and trade. On December 18, 2024, Trump claimed that many Canadians supported the idea of becoming the 51st state, though no evidence was provided to substantiate this claim. In early January 2025, Trump escalated his rhetoric by threatening to impose a 25% tariff on all Canadian imports unless Canada enhanced its border security. He implied that economic force could be used to establish a union between Canada and the US, stating, "We're subsidizing Canada for almost $300 billion. We shouldn't be. Why are we subsidizing these countries? If we're going to subsidize them, let them become a state." In response, on January 7, 2025, Prime Minister Trudeau firmly rejected the notion of annexation, stating, "There isn't a snowball's chance in hell that Canada would become a part of the United States." Despite the firm denials from Canadian leadership, Trump continued to reference the idea. In a Christmas post on December 25, 2024, he suggested that if Canada became the 51st state, its taxes would be reduced by more than 60%. Its businesses would immediately double in size, and it would become exceptionally militarily protected. In a press conference on January 7, 2025, Trump ruled out the use of military force to annex Canada, instead advocating for economic force to pressure Canada into joining. He argued that merging would enhance national security and reduce US expenses on border protection. Trump then posted an image on Truth Social with the US flag emblazoned across the territories of the US and Canada, with the caption referencing the national anthem of Canada. On February 1, 2025, President Trump announced 25% tariffs on all Canadian goods, set to take effect on February 4, 2025. This decision was met with anger by Canadian officials. The following day, on February 2, Trump reaffirmed his desire to annex Canada in a statement saying that Canada should become the cherished 51st state, promising no tariffs and guaranteeing their military security if they do. In response to the United States' imposition of tariffs on Canadian goods, Canada has formulated a comprehensive retaliation strategy to protect its economic interests and uphold national sovereignty. Initially, Canada announced a 25% tariff on $155 billion worth of US imports, with $30 billion of these tariffs. However, following discussions between Prime Minister Justin Trudeau and President Donald Trump, both nations agreed to a 30-day pause on the enforcement of these tariffs. Despite this temporary reprieve, Canada remains prepared to implement its retaliatory measures if the US tariffs proceed after the 30-day pause. The Canadian government has also indicated that it is considering additional non-tariff measures, such as export restrictions on critical minerals and energy products, as well as limiting American companies' access to Canadian government contracts. For example, Canada is actively pursuing strategies to diversify its oil export markets, with a particular focus on increasing shipments to China and Japan. This shift aims to reduce Canada's heavy reliance on the US market and mitigate potential economic impacts from the proposed tariffs. The expansion of the Trans Mountain Pipeline, completed in May 2024, has been pivotal in facilitating this strategic pivot. The project nearly tripled the pipeline's capacity to 890,000 barrels per day, enabling greater access to Canada's Pacific coast and subsequently Asian markets. This development allows Canadian producers to tap into the growing energy demands of countries like China and Japan. Alberta's government has been proactive in strengthening energy ties with Japan. In February 2025, Alberta's Environment Minister Rebecca Schultz visited Tokyo to discuss potential liquefied natural gas deals. Meetings with Japanese officials and representatives from companies such as JERA and JOGMEC focused on promoting Canadian LNG as a reliable energy source. Advantages highlighted included shorter shipping times and lower geopolitical risks compared to other suppliers. The expanded TMX pipeline has already facilitated shipments to various Asian markets. In September 2024, major refiners in Japan and South Korea, including ENEOS and GS Caltex, received Canadian crude oil deliveries. These shipments represent a significant shift for Canada, which has historically been heavily dependent on the US market for its oil exports. Ontario Premier Doug Ford has indicated that the province may restrict electricity exports to neighboring US states, including Minnesota, Michigan, and New York, if the US proceeds with the proposed tariffs. This move could significantly impact approximately 1.5 million American consumers who depend on this power supply. In addition to the previously discussed measures, Canada is exploring several other strategies to counteract the US tariffs and reduce its economic dependence on the United States. Canada is actively seeking to enhance trade relationships with European and Asian markets by leveraging agreements such as the Comprehensive Economic and Trade Agreement with the European Union and the Comprehensive and Progressive Agreement for Trans-Pacific Partnership. Canada aims to open new avenues for its exports, thereby reducing reliance on the US market. In response to the tariffs, there has been a surge in nationalistic sentiment among Canadians, leading to grassroots movements encouraging consumers to purchase domestic products. This shift not only supports local businesses, but also mitigates the impact of reduced trade with the US. Prime Minister Justin Trudeau has highlighted the need to address interprovincial trade barriers within Canada by streamlining regulations and reducing obstacles between provinces. Canada can bolster its internal market, making the economy more resilient to external trade disruptions. By implementing these strategies, Canada seeks to safeguard its economic interests, assert its sovereignty, and reduce vulnerability to external economic pressures. The situation remains dynamic, with Canadian leaders continuously assessing and adapting their approaches in response to evolving circumstances. In a recent closed-door meeting with business and Labour leaders in Toronto, Canadian Prime Minister Justin Trudeau expressed concerns about US President Donald Trump's intentions toward Canada. He suggested that Trump's remarks about annexing Canada, previously considered in jest, might be serious and linked to Canada's abundant natural resources. Trudeau stated, "Mr. Trump has it in mind that the easiest way to do it is absorbing our country, and it is a real thing." Trudeau emphasized the importance of developing economic strategies to navigate the evolving political landscape with the United States. He highlighted the need for Canada to strengthen internal trade and diversify its international trade partnerships to reduce economic dependence on the US. He remarked, "We need to be very deliberate about how we continue to engage closely with the United States." He also noted, "They're very aware of our resources, of what we have, and they very much want to be able to benefit from those." Why Trump wants Canada? The United States has always been reliant on Canada's vast natural resources, but recent comments from US President Donald Trump have raised new concerns about how far that reliance might go. Trump's remark about annexing Canada, previously dismissed as hyperbole, has now sparked debate about whether the US could seriously consider absorbing its northern neighbour, primarily to secure access to its immense natural wealth. Below, we break down Canada's major natural resources, highlighting where the country ranks globally and why these assets are so vital. In 2023, Canada remained the fourth largest oil producer globally, with an average daily output of approximately 4.6 million barrels. A significant portion of this production, nearly 3.9 million barrels per day, was exported, accounting for 81% of the country's total oil output. The vast majority of these exports, about 97%, were destined for the United States, highlighting the deeply integrated energy relationship between the two nations. The steady flow of Canadian crude to US refineries ensures a reliable supply, reinforcing economic ties and mutual energy security. Alberta's oil sands play a dominant role in Canada's crude oil production, contributing over 87% of the total volume exported to the United States. The province's extensive oil reserves and advanced extraction techniques have made it a global hub for oil production, with oil sands accounting for 65% of Canada's total crude oil and equivalent products in 2023. Other regions, including Saskatchewan and offshore fields in Newfoundland and Labrador, also contribute to national production, though Alberta remains the central pillar of Canada's oil industry. Canadian crude oil exports to the United States are distributed across various refining regions known as the Petroleum Administration for Defense